couple of days ago, I was mentoring a maintenance manager, and this person manages a small maintenance organization, just 6 people in it, okay? But they were in the process of interviewing for a much larger job, and I've been mentoring this person, for several months now. But they were interviewing, and actually on interview 3, I believe it was, the third interview, for a job with 70 people in it. So literally a job more than 10 times the size. And this person already had the phone screen, already had the plant tour and the interview, with the engineers and the current maintenance manager and other stakeholders. But interview number 3 was with the plant manager, okay? And this plant manager, this is pretty cool. This plant manager asked in advance, say, here's one of the questions I'm going to ask you. What are you going to do in the first 90 days? So you got time to think about it. What are you going to do in the first 90 days? What would you do? Hey folks, this is Joe Kuhn of Lean Driven Reliability, bridging the gap between best practices that you should be doing and the culture you live in, how to transition. It's all about execution, right? Everybody knows best practices. People need help on executing for that reliability target state. So hey, some KPIs, or just some quick things this person picked up from the tour and the discussions. Unplanned work was at 81%, very high. PM compliance was at 25%, very low. Morale was low, a lot of finger pointing. There was not a partnership with production, a lot of finger pointing, very common. I walk into this organization all the time. So option 1, for this interview, okay, is to come into the interview. What would you do in the first 90 days? Oh, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Number 1, I'm going to focus on increasing planned work. 81% unplanned is way too low. Only got 19%. We got to get to 25. We got to get to 30. We got to move that up. Focus on planned work and what it takes to get that done. Then we got to focus on some systems. We got to put some systems in place, like a planning meeting where it's a partnership between production and maintenance. We got to get roles and responsibilities of what's the planner do, what's the production people do, what's the maintenance manager do, what are reliability engineers, what's their role in this whole reliability culture we're creating. We need to do some problem solving. We're going to do some SFMEAs, Simplified Failure Mode and Effect Analysis, on our critical assets. So we're going to make sure that our PMs and our inspections and our PDM, all that kind of stuff makes sense and is targeted after failure mode on our critical assets. We're going to start a root cause reliability process so we can, attack the problems at their source so that they don't repeat. And we're going to add PDM for early detection. That's what I'm going to do in my first 90 days. That's all motherhood and apple pie. That's the short version of that is we're going to implement best practices. That's what we're going to do. Okay. Now, that's not at all what I would say. I gave this person an option 2. Okay. Because this person was kind of terrified with, hey, you want me to specifically, I've walked through your plan. I barely know the KPIs. You want me to give you a plan. What do I do? Well, option 2, detail the business case. I need to understand the business case from all stakeholders. This includes my production counterpart. This includes the plant manager. This includes quality. This includes the planner. Everybody in the business, HR, if I didn't say that already. Could be all of the above, could be 2 out of 3. What's the business case? What are you trying to fix? Okay? You need to know that before you take action, what problem you're trying to fix. The stakeholders, including the operators. Talk to the operators, talk to the mechanics, talk to the planners, everybody. Get everybody's opinion of what the business case is and try to define that and get everybody to agree. These are the 3 levers. These are the things we want to improve. And it may not always be cost. It could be, we need this asset, the hot mill. We need it reliable. Everything else is okay. That hot mill is the root of all evil. We need to fix it. Sometimes it is that simple. Define what success in 1 year and 5 year looks like. Make sure everybody agree. 1 year, boy, this would be huge success if you can accomplish this in 1 year. And in 5 years, here's where we want to be. Understanding business case. folks, and I'm just walking through the A3. If you haven't heard of A3, it's in my book. I can send me an email and I'll tell you what an A3 is or Google it. Number 2, observe current state. You gotta know current state. Everybody thinks they know current state. They think they know some of the KPIs, which KPIs hide waste. I just left a video on that. Understand if, is the observation of the bottleneck, say your number one issue is a bottleneck. I mentioned the hot mill earlier. Go out and observe the hot mill. Go out there for 2, 3, 4 days and observe, okay? Best to do this in a team, but at least do it as an individual. Observe, see how it's being operated, see how we're responding to problems, see how we're maintaining things over 2, 3, 4 days. Observe your preventive maintenance crew. Follow them around for 2 days. Okay? Follow around a planned work crew. Follow them around for 2 days. Follow around your unplanned work crew. How are we fixing things? We putting duct tape on and coat hangers on things, holding them together, baling wire, and you gotta see reality. Knowing reality is the critical step that almost every manager skips. They go from business case to actions. Business case to actions. And the actions are the best practices I just described, but you have no idea which ones are important, and you just don't have no idea. You're throwing solutions at a problem you don't understand. Observation changes everything. Chalk circle observation. That's a phrase I want you to know. Chalk circle means intense observation. When was the last time you had a problem and you went out and you spent 8 hours on the shop floor observing that? Whether it's an asset, whether it's an efficiency of a crew, which the efficiency of a crew has never been a work ethic issue for me. It's the system they're asked to work in. Intimate observation leads to intimate knowledge of the waste, of the process, of reality. Intimate knowledge leads to knowing the waste. Knowing the waste reveals actions. You know exactly what actions to take if you know your waste. Okay, step number 3 in my plan, what I would say in my 90 days, validate the observations with the work crew. This is what I observed. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm judging. This is an observation. Do that with all the stakeholders. Go back to them and say, this is what I'm seeing. And if they disagree with you, more observations needed. Or there may be some changes, but be ready for them to say, that's very unusual, that never happens. And then you bring out the data and says it happens every day, twice a day. So seek to get their buy-in on your observations. That's critical. Craft actions with the stakeholders and with your work crews. Craft actions. Once you know the waste in your plant through observations, the actions will be, this is the easy part. It's not magical. This will be very easy. Target actions that are less than 30 days to implement and target those that are free to get some momentum, get that flywheel of reliability going. Implement the changes. That's step number 5 I'm on. Example, say you decide to do a PM Kaizen. You do a PM Kaizen 1, I got a video on this. This is where you spend about 2 minutes looking at a PM, decide, is it reasonable at all? You're trying to get some early hours out and waste out of the system. So do we have a PM that we have, 2 mechanics, 8 hours assigned to, and it's 1 mechanic, 1 hour. But 1 out of 10 times it takes 8 hours because we find something wrong. So we're planning for it to be, 8 hours every time. Waste. Okay, that's a PM Kaizen. Maybe it's a kit or stager. You decide we don't have the parts and pieces put together by an experienced craftsperson to execute the job, so they're constantly going back and forth between the shop. If they're installing a pump, the only thing on the kit is a pump. Well, what about shim stock? What about gasket material? What about nuts and bolts? That they may need. What about key stock? Anything like that. So implement the changes. Number 6, keep the stakeholders informed. The communication is so key. Sponsorship of reliability efforts are huge. You're going to implement these actions and you're going to have problems. Communicate your wins. Everybody knows your faults. Everybody knows your failures. Communicate the wins. Put the failures in context about what you're doing. Have go and see if somebody's critical of what you're doing. Grab them by the hand, walk them out to the shop floor, show them what you're doing. Keep the stakeholders involved. One of the things I would do is do a weekly newsletter. I also did an email blast of 2 successes a week. 2 successes. Take a picture of it. Here's a success. Here's a success. and you get that flywheel of reliability turning. Celebrate the wins. Can be very small. Can be buy pizza for everybody. Can be to randomly pull out 5 PMs and give them a $25 Visa card for gas or something like that. So think about small wins. Can be the plant manager coming out and patting somebody on the back, and saying good job. That's an excellent win. So implementing, those are my 7 actions that I would say I'm going to do in the first 90 days. And then I would say rinse and repeat. You're finding waste, solving waste. Finding waste, solving waste. Okay, that's what you're doing. A reliability culture is really a culture focused on waste elimination. So you got to create a waste elimination culture first that comes from observation and knowing your waste. Implementing tools without knowing your waste is like shooting at a target blindfolded. You may get some things right, but you may implement 28 tools and 3 of them make an impact. Look at the cost, the time, and the distraction of that. You're not going to have that much time to change the culture. Your boss just asked you for a 90-day plan. They're looking for results in 90 days. You don't have time to be wrong with your big actions, okay? So it's expensive and it's time consuming shooting at a target blindfolded, and that's what you're doing with best practices without knowing the waste. Knowing your waste changes everything. Obviously, option 2 is what I highly recommend. It's going to be unusual. You'll stand apart from the crowd. If you're interviewing with 4 other people for the job, 3 of them are going to say, implement best practices. One person, you, is going to say, I'm going to create a waste-focused organization. We're going to know our waste intimately. We're going to use observation in our data set, and that will reveal actions, and we're going to make dramatic change starting in 30 days. It's Joe out.